This is a true story about my son, Jeffrey Samuel Needham, who's saved countless lives in places the police and firemen dare not go while facing his own battles with autism and addiction. Like with Cinderella and Prince Charming, it began when I met Greg at the dance. It was love at first sight, as if we'd known each other forever. After we married, I thought we'd have children right away, but I was wrong. And after 3 long years with the help of fertility pills, we were finally expecting our first child. We arrived at the hospital late in the evening. I was in premature labor, and we hadn't even picked out names. So when the twins surprised us with their early arrival, the doctor just called them Baby A and Baby B. A little while later, he came back from the nursery with bad news. Baby B's lungs weren't fully developed, and he was struggling to breathe. The doctor said he probably wouldn't make it, but I refused to believe him, and I was right. We named him Jeff and his brother Timothy. We read hundreds of stories, played games, and gave lots of hugs. We would often take evening walks exploring the world together. As the years went by, Jeff's gentle spirit became even more evident. He found joy in the smallest creatures, which would become a big part of his life. I thought Jeff was driving empty cars up and down the windowsill, until I took a closer look to see that flies without wings were driving his cars. He told me he took their wings off so they'd fit in his cars better. He didn't want to hurt them. He thought removing their wings was like taking their coats off. When the flies died, he cried for a long time. In our pet cemetery was our dog Johnny and Tim's pet hamster Jasmine. Jeff had a deep compassion for all living creatures and tried to protect a rattlesnake, shedding tears when it was killed. He was happiest when he was caring for his animals. He loved them with all his heart, and they loved him back. He'd spend hours playing with and caring for them. He especially loved fish and had 10 aquariums. His face would light up whenever we went to the store to pick out new fish or get parts for his tanks. I saved money by trimming Jeff's hair myself, promising to buy a sailboat with the savings. However, buying a boat took longer than anticipated, and for 25 years, Jeff would spot boats for sale and bring them to my attention until I finally fulfilled my promise. But that's a story for another time. After having twins, we had 5 more children: John, Christy, Catherine, Daniel, and Matt. Unlike my other children who prayed, "Bless Daddy and Mommy," Jeff prayed, "Bless the electrical wires and
bless my racing flies up in heaven and the moon and the stars and the electrical switches and the lights and the wires and the wall."
Although home was a safe haven for Jeff, the world outside was much harsher. In his special education class, Jeff was the hero of the younger students, as he read them stories and they were spellbound. But outside of his classroom, the kids in school picked on him. The teacher would stop them when she could, but she couldn't be there all the time.
Let the fourth grade get away! Okay, break it up. I'm taking names. You're supposed to have fighting. Get up, kid. You gotta go to the office.
He told me he didn't swing any punches because he feared he might hurt someone. He didn't deserve to be suspended. Jeff would frequently look to the hills for inspiration, and in a few years, Jeff would find himself living full-time in homeless camps, only returning home when circumstances became truly unbearable.
Jeff, what happened? What happened to your face?
Jose was hitting his girlfriend.
Jeff stayed home for a few days to let things cool down in the camps. There were a few persons in the hills who wanted to kill him. Time and again, men in the camp started to beat their girlfriends and Jeff intercepted. Repeatedly, he'd come home with black eyes, but without complaint. Jeff quickly developed addictions to meth and alcohol. We took him to rehab multiple times. On one occasion, we even hired a pilot to fly us to Santa Rosa Island, landing on a dirt runway. He spent 2 weeks there sobering up. During his stay, he swam with sea lions and nearly lost his life, jumping from one cliff to another. Partway down the 100-foot drop, Jeff miraculously clung on. He survived slipping on that rock, but never survived falling back into substance abuse. Jeff was the water boy in the homeless camps, and Levita was the nurse and the midwife who Jeff loved. Once she brought a pregnant woman to Jeff for a ride to the hospital, and a healthy baby girl was born in his car. I was always searching for Jeff. Once I found his camp. It had a rocking horse, a lampshade with butterflies on it, and children's toys, things he thought his nephews and nieces might like. But Jeff wasn't there, so I kept searching. When I found him, I was delighted. He asked about his brothers, sisters, nieces, and nephews, wondering if they still lived in the same place, worked the same jobs, and are healthy. Sometimes he tells me about his other family, the people in the camps. One time, he told me that someone named Rolf had died and was buried in the hills. I lost sleep over it until much later when I learned that Rolf was a dog. Levita held a special place in Jeff's heart. He enjoyed spending time with her and making sure she had a safe place to sleep. He would do anything to protect her. When I was with Jeff, I was in a world that locked out all my worries and my cares. Time seemed to stand still. But one day I miscalculated Jeff's state of mind. I thought he was just tired when I let him in my car. It was Halloween. He'd been up 2 nights, helping people prepare for a storm and securing Levita's tent. He was hungry, tired, and he wasn't thinking clearly. Jeff had yelled at me and scared me while I was driving. He smashed a bottle of green salsa against the side of my van and splattered gooey green sauce everywhere. I was so frightened that I got out of the car and called the police.
I wonder if Franco's gonna be
Jeff,
there too.
get out of the van.
Jeff broke over a dozen windows when he was frustrated.
Jeff, get out of the van.
Each time I felt sorry for him and never required him to pay for damages until he kicked out his 4th
Get
windshield.
out of the van.
For that windshield, he sold his Harley motorcycle to pay for damages and never broke a window again. I feared he had hurt himself when he jumped from the van, and I held my breath, fearing that the police might shoot. While Jeff was in jail, the big storm he'd been preparing for came through. Out of all the tents in the camp, the one he'd set up for Levita was the only one that survived that storm. Jeff loved Levita. He gave his all to help her until he had nothing more to give. Jeff survived brain surgery and being run over by a car. But Jeff did not survive being hit by a train. I did what I could to help, but my efforts always seemed to fall short of the help he truly needed. Jeff died with a peaceful look on his face, as if all the weight and worry had simply faded away.
As Jeff's mother, when I felt low, loving Jeff gave me a reason to live. With Jeff gone, I lost part of my reason until I acknowledged that love is a reason. And so, like Jeff, I'm living to love others until my last day. world so very new, who's packed with possibility and tears and laughter too. It's you, my newborn baby. I'll press your warmth to mine. I'm crying tears of joy to